Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Sometimes you just see people during their worst moments. Those moments aren't always representative of the people they are, so don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You're the idiot that locked your keys in there, but okay, I'll stop. A long time ago, I was a brand new 20-year-old auto tech for a very fancy car dealership. It's German. Anyways, as the low man on the pole, I got stuck with doing roadside service calls at night and on the weekends. Typical stuff, flat tire, dead battery, but most common was locked keys in their car. Most people were cool. They had lots of money, so many tipped even though they didn't have to. Best one I responded to was a Playboy bunny. No juicy story, just very sweet and pretty. So on to the story. I'll be Tech and famous guy will be FG. If you're wondering who it is, well, he was a famous baseball/football player, and he had a very memorable quote, FG knows. You figure it out from there. On to the story. I get the call and am told to respond. It's early morning, 1 to 3 a.m.-ish, that a customer has locked their keys in their car. But the weird part was that it was on the side of the road, on the expressway. Weird place to leave your car, but stuff happens, right? I roll up and get out of the car. FG has what I assume is his wife or girlfriend with him. FG, what the hell took you so long? I was coming from far away, took about 30 to 40 minutes, not that long. Tech, sorry sir, I came from a bit away. Oh hey, you're famous guy. FG, yeah, can you get my car unlocked so we can get out of here? Tech, sure, sorry about that. I get to work, but you gotta know that these German cars were designed to be hard to break into. I mean, they hold contests to see who can steal one. I start to work and know that what I need to do is basically take apart the trunk lock so I can gain access to the car via the trunk and thereby gain access to the inside of the car and crawl in. FG, what the hell are you doing? Tech, I'm trying to unlock your car, sir. FG, are you stupid? The keys are not in the trunk. Tech, sir, I know that. I'm just trying to... Cuts me off. FG, what an idiot. They send me some moron that doesn't even know where the doors are. More stupid crap is said, but you get the idea. He was being a jerk. Tech, sir, if you just... Cuts me off again. FG, I'm so sick of this crap and this car. You obviously don't know what you're doing, so just stop. Tech, I'm pretty PO'd at this point. Yes, sir, you got it. I stopped what I was doing and started packing up my tools. FG, what are you doing? Tech, I'm leaving, sir. I don't appreciate you yelling at me when I'm simply trying to do my job. Q walking away. FG, visible stutter. I'm sorry, I'm just having a really bad day. Can you please get my keys out? Tech, sure thing, sir, no worries. And that's the day I learned FG had a stutter when he was upset, and after he calmed down was a decent guy. And our second guy. Crappy boss for absolutely no reason. 35 years ago, I was a pre-med student accepted into my school of choice and had another 6 months to work like hell to add as much money as I could to my existing savings. My wife was already on her way up the banker ladder, but I was intent on doing this on my own without tapping our marital savings. At the time, jobs were everywhere, full-time, part-time, temp, whatever you wanted, based purely on a phone call and a resume. I scored a $27 an hour position, a fortune at that time, at a tiny boutique brokerage firm in uptown Manhattan doing mostly database programming and the like. Back office type stuff. Everyone was cool to me knowing that I was only to be there a short time. Except my boss. This guy hired me, so I could never figure him out. Why would he be nasty to me all the time, even on the days he signed my paychecks? I was baffled, but dealt with it because I was making great money. One day he came to me with a smirk on his face and asked me to come with him. I have a job for you, he said, as he led me to what I thought was empty storage closet. Never had occasion to walk in there before this day. Upon opening the door, I was greeted with stacks and stacks, floor to ceiling, of old-style yellow trade slips. In the days before computers, stock traders used to use three-way trade tickets. The top white copy was the original trade receipt, the carbon copy, pink underneath, went to the client, and the yellow under that, I think, was to go to some agency who gathered them as proof of the client/trader agreement. There were thousands upon thousands of them in this room. Like I said, floor to ceiling in a 10 by 10 room, filled maybe halfway with these yellows, as he referred to them. My idiot boss looked at me as his smile grew larger and said, "I need to know the precise number of yellows in here. Exact." And he walked out and slammed the door behind him. Baffled, I just stood there for a few minutes. Why would this idiot pay me $27 an hour to have me count pieces of paper? Well, I didn't get into med school by getting flustered easily, so I got right to work. I thought to myself, no one actually knew how many tickets were in there, so I could just say any large number and they'd have to accept it, lest someone else would count them up, and I knew that wasn't going to happen. So I walked out to the office supply closet and got a tape measure. I remember I had to really search for one of those and a legal pad and already had a pen. I figured if I counted out 500 tickets, compressed them very hard and measured their height, I'd have something to gauge a pretty damn close estimate. So I did just that. I forgot the exact measurement, but let's say it was 5 inches. So after getting this number, I spent a few minutes measuring all the stacks, and then some simple math yielded a huge number. I remember vaguely it was like 184,000. And I remember I wrote some random numbers after it, like it was 184,376, just to make it look good. I left the room with that legal pad 34 minutes later. That I remember, and marched right over to my boss's office, opened the door, and gave him the legal pad with a number circled in magic marker. He looked at the pad for a good minute and had nothing further to say to me, so I just left his office and went back to my desk to continue the programming project I was working on. The firm I worked for closed down about 3 years after I worked there. I found out that before I left for school, they had a main office in London, and that office was subsidizing the New York City office, hence the devil-may-care attitude about the money. No one at the head office was watching how anything was being spent. The CEO, my boss, was making $175K, I heard, way more than he ever generated for the place. I looked him up years after I graduated and found out after the firm closed down, he started working at a global bank practically in the mailroom. I felt bad for him. I can see by the way you solved this problem how you got into medical school. I totally would have counted them. And our last story. Mom takes down the HOA from the inside. My neighborhood does not have a homeowners association, at least not anymore. When my parents first moved in, my older sibling, maybe 2 years old, and with me as a little glowworm, there was an HOA. They took money from the neighborhood in exchange for their services. At first, and for quite a while, my parents just kind of shrugged it off. The HOA shoveled the snow off the streets in winter and dealt with trash collection. So they were doing something worthwhile, right? Ha, no. The city controlled the snowplows and garbage trucks, not the HOA. But still, there was the illusion of effort. And besides, one summer, they decided to contact a company to plant new trees all over the neighborhood. The fact that the company was owned by the son of the head of the HOA was totally coincidental. The trees were the beginning of the end for the HOA. Why? Well, my grandma on my dad's side was visiting when they came around to plant the trees. My grandma, who's a certified master gardener, and so she stared through the windows of our house as the guys planting the trees just dropped the saplings on the grass, still with their roots inside the bag they came in. No holes dug, no holes cut, just a bagged sapling lying on the grass like a pathetic and sad stick. The saplings laid there all night. No one came back to actually do their job and plant them. My master gardener grandma mentioned offhand that those saplings were going to die unless they got in the soil. And something clicked in my mom's head. She was paying the HOA money, actual money, every month, while both she and my dad worked taking care of 2 very little kids, sending us to daycare and preschool and arranging babysitters and feeding us. And the homeowners association was just going to pull this half-butt bullcrap instead of doing what she's paying them for? No. No effing way. So she showed up to the head of the HOA's house and basically demanded that the trees get planted properly like she's apparently paying for them to. The head of the HOA, so excited for someone actually caring about the neighborhood, made their second mistake. They asked my mom if she wanted to join the HOA. She agreed. The trees were planted, but most didn't make it. My grandma was right. First things first, my mom showed up to the next HOA meeting. There were like 5 people there. No wonder they asked Mom to join. They desperately needed the people. So Mom looked at this collection of people who weren't even paying money to the HOA like the rest of the neighborhood. All the contractors the HOA called in were close relatives of other HOA members and weren't paid by the HOA. After all, they're family. So my mom started digging. She spent pretty much a full summer taking down the HOA before she had to go back to teaching in the fall, with me carted along after her and my sibling old enough to be in school or daycare. She dug through the years of paperwork detailing the HOA's financial situation, and she found something extremely enlightening. The HOA didn't actually do anything. Well, they didn't do anything to benefit the community. Everything they claimed to do was either covered by the individual homeowner or by the city itself. So they were collecting money from all the neighborhood residents under false pretenses, and actually, they weren't even supposed to be in our neighborhood. Their association zone was a whole different neighborhood. So what's a working mother of 2 small children to do while her husband is off at work and she's off for the summer? She goes door to door with pamphlets. Me and my sibling in a stroller as she weaves her way through the neighborhood blocks, pamphlets explaining the situation and how to stop paying for services you'll never get. Pamphlets that are, of course, written in both English and Spanish to account for the high amount of Latino and Hispanic people in our neighborhood. And naturally, she got a lawyer and an accountant. It put a major dent in her pocket, but if it meant the entire neighborhood wasn't exploited for money each month, it was worth every penny. Another HOA member helped her sift through the documents and data and pass out pamphlets and encouraged people to show up to the meetings, but had to back out because of work-related reasons. My mom rolled up to the courthouse, flanked by the lawyer and accountant, her kids safe at home with her husband, and had more than enough evidence to get the Homeowners Association the F out of her neighborhood, expose the fraudsters for the frauds they were, and make sure that no HOA would ever push their luck in our neighborhood. It's been almost 19 years, and no one's even tried making another homeowners association in our neighborhood. Never mess with master gardeners. Everyone I've met is bad A and hardcore about gardening and everything else in their life. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.